So I don't know if we need to queue up REM's The End of the World as We Know It, or if we need to volunteer as tribute because she's got so much stuff that's going on right now. Talking about Last Night on Earth, which is going to be hitting theaters on May the 31st, and her memoir, The Glimmer Game, about her time on the Hunger Games, which is going to be coming out on May the 17th. It's Glimmer herself, Leven Rambin. Leven, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Nice to meet you.
So Leven, I got to
How
ask,
was-
as I was getting ready for this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you've been your character, you've had a character that's involved in the Hunger Games. You've been in the Forever Purge. Now you're trying to dodge, planet killing asteroids and stuff like that. How do you keep finding yourself in these situations, Levin?
Yeah, I guess I'm being typecast as a woman in distress. I don't know. I will say that I find myself drawn to darker material and, kind of high stakes situations and life and death situations. That's just what I'm drawn to when I read scripts. So I think it's similar vibes. So maybe I need to do a horror movie next, like a true horror where I'm the star and well, maybe I make it, maybe I don't, kind of a thing.
Maybe you need to be the dodgy for once. You need to be the seeker. Well, either you're the seeker a little bit in the Hunger Games too. So it
No, yeah,
wasn't.
I need to be the villain. I need to be the murderer. You're right. You're
Yes,
right.
yes, yeah.
I need
We
to
need to
start
flip the
slam.
script. You need a break, is what I'm saying. You kind of need a
That's
break
true.
from being chased.
Yeah,
So
I need like a female like serial killer or something like that.
there you go. No doubt. No doubt. All right,
Or
let's
just a
go back.
demon.
Let's go back to your memoir here for a second, the Glimmer Game, which is going to be about your time on the Hunger Games, because I think everybody still remembers Glimmer. If you're a Hunger Games fan, whether it be the books or the movies, you remember Glimmer for sure. So what was it that made you want to go back and tell that part of your life?
Yeah, so it was the actor strike last year, and I always have something creative uh, that I'm doing on the side outside of acting, whether it's my album that I put out or directing. I was on social media a lot and I realized how big the Hunger Games fan base still is. They were always interacting with me on TikTok and Instagram. And I just thought they were always asking me so many questions about what it was like to be on the movie and be a part of the franchise. And so I figured I would write it in a book and put all their questions, down, and it evolved from there to how I started acting and the drama that led up to me booking the role and my time on Wizards of Waverly Place. And it really evolved into more of like a inner monologue about my whole journey as an actress. So it's for Hunger Games fans, but also those who maybe want to start acting or just love Hollywood, serving to inspire those people.
That's great because you've done so much cool stuff. I'm glad that we're going to get a little bit more of that as well. I want to ask you though. Let's go back to when the Hunger Games was at its peak. When you're doing all the press and everything. When you have fans that are probably mobbing you in the streets when they say, "Oh, that's Glimmer." Because I'm watching the Hunger Games. My wife's a huge Hunger Games fan, and the first time I saw it, I went in cold. I didn't read the books, nothing. But when I saw Glimmer, I'm like, she's going to be a problem. Like this girl's tough. She's going to be a problem. But at the same time, you've got characters like Peeta and Katniss that are so beloved, and you probably got a little bit of pushback from fans that love those characters, like how dare you, sort of thing. So how do you kind of deal with that? We're like, hey guys, I know that I play Glimmer, sort of thing, but did you get any of that where it's like, hey, what were you picking on Katniss and Peeta for, sort of thing?
Oh, sure. Like I get probably 50-50 of like I hated Glimmer and I loved Glimmer. So I think I did my job correctly if they hate my character and they, are like love their Katniss and Peeta, like you said, and they think that Glimmer is evil. So that to me is just like, okay, I did a great job, and especially with Clado, which is Clove, and Cato, which is mentioned in the book, and then in the movie it turned out to be more Glado, Glimmer and Cato kind of teaming up and having like a flirty relationship. That was a big divide with fans as well. Like they were not down with Glado, and I, like, as Glimmer, like to promote Glado on my, and I make content about it sometimes, and they don't love that, but I like, it's still fun to engage in that kind of back and forth.
I just remember my gut reaction was, girl, you can do better. Like seriously, you can do better than this dude. So yeah, I always thought that was a kind of fun dynamic. as well. I got to ask though, I know that the book gets a little bit more into Glimmer than we got to see on the screen. Were you ever kind of bummed out that you never really got to unpack that character even more? Cause there was so much there. Did you ever get kind of bummed that you never got to really unpack the character or even have somebody go back and maybe do like a prequel sort of thing?
Oh, sure. I'm still holding my breath for a prequel. I'm suffocating and dying, but I am holding my breath. But no, I'm kidding. Yeah, for sure. I think I talk about that in my book, Glimmer's Game, how, you know, what my expectations were after reading the book and being such a huge fan, and then to doing the role. And I say in the book, like I would have done craft service on the movie. I didn't care how big or small my role was. I just really wanted to be a part of it. And so I gave it my all, 110% from the audition to the filming. And of course, I wish I would have, it would have been, Glimmer's Game from the beginning. Like, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what I was stepping into. It was a movie for Katniss and Jennifer. And just as a fan, aside from my own acting, preference, like I loved the movie. So I just wanted to serve it in whatever way I could. And a lot of, my intense fight choreography, very specific moves and stuff did get cut. It was a bummer to see at the premiere, but like I said, it serves the movie well, and that's the nature of filmmaking.
How is it too when you know based on the books, like, okay, I know this is I don't think I need to say spoiler alert for a classic movie that's been out for a couple decades, but I'll do it anyway. Spoiler alert. How did you feel about you knew going in how she's going to go down, right? You know how this is going to end for Glimmer. How do you kind of prepare yourself for that moment because you kind of know it's coming? And how did you, because I
Yeah.
thought you brought that to life beautifully. I still gives me goosebumps every time. So how do you kind of prepare yourself for a moment like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one that a lot of fans ask me about, which is another reason I wrote the book, to delve deeper into my really inner world and to be like Leven talking about this and not, Glimmer or whatever they see on screen. So um I was really nervous about shooting that scene. I had never done something like that before in my career. Prior to that, I was on Grey's Anatomy and CSI Miami and Wizards of Waverly Place, so it just wasn't as intense. All my children, of course, for the OG fans that have been rocking with me since day one, who are also on social media, by the way, which is awesome. But um, I talk about it. There's a whole chapter on that in the book where I was very nervous and sort of there was no way to prepare me. Gary was Ross, the director, who's fantastic. He just was like, okay, so you're gonna this is where you get stung, and then you're gonna run to this mark, and that's when you start to hallucinate. And then you have like crippling pain here, debilitating pain, and then you're gonna come over here, and that's when you start to seize up and become paralyzed, and then you're gonna fall and die. So just do that. And I was like, what? Like what? Like, wait, what? Like I thought this was gonna be like a whole day devoted to me shooting this thing. No, it was like 30 minutes, a couple shots. And Isabel Furman really helped me kind of get the confidence in that moment to just go for it and not feel stupid and not be afraid to like fail and get moments wrong. I mean, that was a lot to pack into a short uh scene, short moment. And Isabel had been in the Orphan, so she had been doing, screams, and I was like, I've never screamed before. I don't know how to scream on camera. Like I feel so silly, but she really had my back and helped me. I don't remember exactly what her words of wisdom were, but I think it was something along the lines of like, just don't feel stupid. So that's how we did it.
Well, it was still incredible. It still worked out pretty darn well for you. So you did a good job in the moment for sure. I want to switch gears and talk about Last Night on Earth, which is going to be coming to select theaters on May the 3rd. First, of course, talking to Leven Rambin, who is in that movie, and of course has her memoir, The Glimmer Game, as well, which is going to be coming out on May the 17th. Because I saw this on your socials and I thought this was really cool. You were talking about how you attended your first movie premiere in 5 years, which I thought was so incredible. It happened back in April for Last Night on Earth. So, and this is, you're the star. This is you. This is your baby, sort of thing. What's it like to do that for the first time in 5 years and just be able to take it all in?
Yeah, I really couldn't believe it had been 5 years. But when I thought about it and I was making that post, 4 years ago was COVID. The Forever Purge came out during COVID, so there was no premiere. And since then, I've moved to Texas and I live on a ranch with 2 donkeys. So, I'm kind of out, I'm not attending other people's premieres per se. And so, yeah, I was like, wow, this is a big deal. Like, I haven't been like in my own movie premiere in 5 years. And it was just so special. And I'm the lead of the movie. And it had, I had never seen it. I had never seen the entire film from start to finish. So I had a lot of, thoughts of what if this is terrible? What if I'm terrible? And I remembered moments that I acted that I was like, oh, probably be terrible because it's the last night on Earth. There's an asteroid coming, and well, shit, that's a spoiler alert, but there you go.
I mean,
I guess
it's
you
in
can
the
tell by the
trailer.
poster
It's in the
that's probably
trailer.
what's
You're
going on.
good.
Okay. All right, cool. So, it was this, again, very high stakes situation, life and death, and it's like, I didn't know how I would really act in that moment. I mean, I tried to go there, but I just wasn't sure. And like, would you be defeated? Would you be still hopeful? Would you be angry? Would you feel like, wistful? Would you, there was just moments that I remembered, shooting that I was like, what is the right tone for this scene? I wasn't sure sometimes. So luckily, when I watched the whole film, it totally played very well. And you'll see my character Holly struggles with mental illness prior to this whole, news of the last night, of the ending of civilization, basically. So she kind of has that to fight also, with everything that's going on. So it was tricky. But Melancholia was a big reference for me. I love that film, and that was a big inspiration for me.
Very cool. Very cool. For anybody that's seen that, that might be cool to know for sure. I want to talk about the relationship too between Holly and Ryan. And Ryan, of course, played by Jake McLaughlin, who you've probably seen in Will Trent. And he's great. So talk about their relationship a little bit, especially the way it sort of evolves throughout the film, because I see it's like they seem crazy in love at first, and is there maybe a little bit of an evolution there given everything that's going on?
Yeah, I think nobody's perfect, right? Like, no relationship is perfect. It wasn't in the script that they had problems, but she was struggling with her mental health, and put him through a lot with that. And we had some secrets in the relationship and with her family and stuff. And so I think a lot of things came up in the last week, living together in a trailer in a very small quarters for the last week, and kind of encountering people. I think Holly wanted to have kids, and like she meets all these kids, and that's very triggering for her. And so, yeah, they definitely aren't perfect, but it ends up being about love ultimately. So
You see a lot of these movies too, when you're talking about end of the world type stuff and what society would do. You see a lot of these movies that are based in the city and things like that. When because this is like an extinction event, but we're getting the very the finding out about it, and then it's a very quick trip to what's going to ultimately end up being the end. Did you kind of like that this movie took a little bit of a different angle? Whereas, all right, we're basically going into the woods. We're trying to go into isolation to get out of the stuff, and how it would affect people there. Did you like how it was kind of a flip of the script in that regard?
I did. I think it's very intimate, and it's very human, and that it takes, and the director Marcos talks about this. His choice to write it that way was like, yeah, we do see that extinction level event movie on a big scale in cities and people fleeing, but like, what if it really just boils down to two people, who are in this life together, and they choose to spend it, in the woods? Isn't that what maybe most people would do? So it just takes a very like microscopic look at the choice of two people, and not, the global population at large. And then, other people that they meet along the way that have also chosen that same thing. And her mom, as you can see, chose to stay in the city. And that's just, again, what would you do? That's what the movie really asks.
There's obviously a science fiction angle to this thing. I've heard this movie described a few different ways. science fiction being one of them. But do you feel like this is more of like a character driven type thing? Obviously, you've got some special effects going to be involved here, but how character driven is this thing? And is it kind of cool to be a part of a sci-fi movie that is that, if that's the case?
Definitely. I mean, it's, it's 100%, character driven. It's kind of psychological in a lot of ways. It could be described as a psychological thriller. There's, huge danger elements. There's, but it is a sci-fi at the end of the day also. So I think that's, taking it's very grounded and real in that it's, focusing on the personalities and inner emotions of these two people and these crazy people that they come in contact with. And, how everyone's handling it really differently. So it's a comedy, and I don't know, it's like that Nicole Kidman meme, where she's like, 1 second it's a comedy, and then the next second it's emotional drama, and then whatever. So it's kind of like that. It has everything.
Okay, so we see Holly running a little bit in the trailer, and it looks like there's maybe some struggles there. Did you maybe get a little bit of that action fix in this movie that you were talking about? Maybe you didn't get as much in the Hunger Games, or at least we didn't see as much.
Oh God, no, I got plenty of that in the Hunger Games. I got in the best shape of my life doing that movie. I was running every day. I was sweating. I was, so no, yeah, but the it was called Homestead for a long time, and now it's called Last Night on Earth. So I just called it the wrong name. But Last Night on Earth is, it was a more quiet and still drama, which I do love being physical, and I do love like high octane action, and I do love like suspense. So I was happy that, Holly has to race against the clock a few times, and fight for her life. Like that's what I love to do. I don't know why, but that is, I love to fight for my life in all my roles. A psycho.
And that's not a bad thing. There's certainly plenty of opportunities to do that across TV and movies and stuff like that. So it's certainly, that's a good thing to like. I want to ask you this because we talked about the idea of maybe, Glimmer getting another chance at a prequel or something like that. You actually played Clarice LaRue in Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters, and we got to see Dior Goodjohn play that same character in a reboot of the series not too long ago. Did you see that? And what's it kind of like having somebody else play a character that you've already played? And would you be open to that for Glimmer and if we got a prequel?
Oh my God. I think that would make me really sad. I'm happy for the Percy Jackson fans and for Dior. I actually messaged her and said, I hope you have a great time playing this character and, passing the torch kind of a thing. And she was really happy to hear from me. So that was cool. Something about Glimmer is kind of really special to my heart. Like I don't like with Clarice, I think I felt at peace with it being like passed down, but with Glimmer, like I just identify with her so much. And I don't know why. I think because I kind of evolved her personality off screen to be just like this unapologetic, like bad bee, like full of herself, like girl. And like I've kind of taken on that persona like on social media a little bit because it's funny to me, and people that say it was a really small role, I'm like, well, it wasn't in my head. So and it's still not. So I don't know. I would be open to it, of course, but yeah, I clearly wouldn't play the prequel now that I'm 10 years older, but it would be hard to let that one go to the next girl. It would be very hard. I know they're doing a stage play in London. So we'll see if they get a Glimmer for that. It won't be hard. It won't be hard.
That would be very interesting. I didn't know about the stage play. That's good to know. Of course, your fellow District 1 tribute was Marvel, played by Jack Quaid, and obviously Jack's doing very well for himself right now. What would it be like to actually be able to work with him again? Because it seemed like it was more of you of Glimmer and Kato. We didn't get to see a ton of Glimmer and Marvel together. Would you like to maybe work with Jack on something again? How was that?
Oh, for sure. I know, like I know he's on The Boys, and I haven't watched a lot of it, but I saw the first episode recently, and I just was like, oh my God, he's so good and he's so funny, and he's also just a really great actor. Like he's just has a lot of depth, on top of like wonderful comedic timing. So if I could keep up with him on The Boys, I would like to do that, but he'd probably just outlap me. So, but no, I think we would have fun for sure. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, we got to get you on The Boys for sure. I could see
Oh,
that. I could
I've
absolutely see
auditioned
that.
for it a couple of times. I auditioned for not like Sugar Scott Rocket something. I don't know. Again, I don't watch the show, so there's
Right, right.
so like there she was like a rabble rousing, like I don't know. But I know it's a huge hit and I'm getting around to it. I'm currently watching The Crown. Um, that's more my thing. But I will watch it for Jack.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely want to make sure you guys go out and see Last Night on Earth, which is with, of course, Leven and Jake McLaughlin. That's going to be in select theaters on May the 31st. We've also got The Glimmer Game, her memoir, which comes out on May the 17th. That's on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. You can find that where you usually buy your books anyway, and all her insights into the Hunger Games and her career. Just so much stuff going on with her. Leven Rambin, thank you so much for taking your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, James.